The white man accused of killing 9 black parishioners inside a Charleston, South Carolina church will reportedly be allowed to represent himself. In making the decision today, a federal judge deemed it unwise for Roof to defend himself, but granted the request nevertheless. Justice reporter Paula Reid is in Washington now with the details here. And just what are the consequences here? Again, the judge allowing Roof to represent himself.
Josh, even the most experienced, sophisticated defense attorney would have had a very difficult time keeping Dylann Roof from being convicted and ultimately sentenced to death. So the first consequence is that little glimmer of hope that he may have had to keep himself off death row is probably gone if he decides to represent himself. The other consequence is for the victims and their families. This is a very high probability now of turning into a circus-like atmosphere. Dylann Roof doesn't know the protocol. He hasn't gone to law school. He hasn't passed the bar exam. So it's very possible that this will devolve into more of a circus and less of a formal proceeding.
Is there precedent for defendants in death penalty cases to defend themselves?
Absolutely. People are very surprised that you can actually represent yourself. It's a very strong right that you have, and unless you're found incompetent or the judge believes you will be somehow extremely disruptive to the proceedings, you have the right to represent yourself, and there's very little the court can do. A comparable case would be the Fort Hood shooter, Major Nidal Hassan. He chose to represent himself when he was tried for murdering over a dozen people and injuring dozens more. I was there at that trial. I covered it at Fort Hood, and what was fascinating is that instead of devolving into a circus, he just didn't care, Josh. He didn't ask any questions. He didn't ask any follow-ups. He didn't present any evidence. He essentially let the prosecution present their case, and then he sat down, and he was ultimately convicted and sentenced to death.
Again, the news today, a federal judge has allowed Dylann Roof, who stands accused of killing 9 black parishioners in a South Carolina church, the right to defend himself at federal trial. Paula Reid, we do appreciate the time.